Good. Greetings. I want to welcome everybody to the Wet Cement Press Kitchen Table Reading Series, this time featuring Andrea Clark Libin, reading from her book, Orphan of the Moon. It's really nice to see so many people, some new faces, some familiar faces, but all lovely faces to see. So I think the waiting room is taken care of. There's a couple of other Zoom tips that I want to just mention. If you have a question or a comment or anything for Andrea or for us, please use the chat during the session. Please make an effort to stay muted. You're supposed to be muted when you come in, but Zoom is notorious for unmuting people or in trying to entice you to unmute yourself. So please resist the temptation and just stay muted. And also you might enjoy it better if you switch to speaker view rather than gallery view. That way when Andrea is reading, she'll be the center of the screen. And to do that, you switch the view on the upper right-hand corner of your Zoom screen. So I think that is that. I also want to mention I pasted in the link to Andrea's book in the chat. So somebody could tell me or tell Michelle if that came through, that would be appreciated.
Yes, it did.
Okay, great. All right, so enough of that. Wet Cement Press was started in 2019. We put our first set of books out in 2019. It was started by myself and three other editors really, but two who are still with us, Michelle Murphy in Reno and Barbara Rother, who generally lives in Asheville, North Carolina, but is now spending time out in, I think it's Pittsfield, Western Massachusetts, something like that. So we've done 9 books to date. Our most recent book just came out. It's a memoir by Earl S. Braggs called A Boy Named Boy. The subtitle is Growing Up Black in White Town During the 1960s, Hampstead, North Carolina. Like I said, it's a memoir. Oh, by the way, Earl is going to be reading with Leonard D. Moore at our next kitchen table reading on Tuesday, April 13th. You'll hear more about that later. But today we're celebrating Andrea Clark Libin's book from last fall, Orphan of the Moon, Notebook of a Girl in a Moscow Station. And specifically, we're celebrating it because it was listed as the finalist for both the 2020 Big Other Book Award for Poetry and the 2020 Big Other Reader's Choice Award. So congratulations, Andrea, for that. It's really was fantastic to see that come through. And it's also really nice. I mean, it's great for Andrea because it's her first book, and to get even, that level of recognition is fantastic. It's also nice for the press because we're a new press, like I said, since 2019, and to be noted like that was fantastic. So Big Other is an online arts and culture magazine. It was published started in 2009, and it's edited and managed by John Madera. You can read that at bigother.com. So I think that's the background. I think what I'm going to do now, because Andrea is going to read from the book, but the other element of this book is that it's really visually striking. So I'm going to go ahead and show some of the pages for those of you who haven't seen it, so you get a feel for the look of the book. And then my fellow editor, Michelle Murphy, will introduce Andrea, and then we'll get right into the reading. So give me a moment to see if I can share this screen. And share the right screen. Let's see. And do this. So can you guys all see that, Michelle?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, great, fantastic. So I wanted to point out that that Andrea is also did the visual side of this. So she did the collages and the drawings and really put this together in a way that is visually as compelling visually as it is as something to read. So here's a sample page, like a page torn out of a notebook, a similar page torn out of a notebook with the drawing, a true and wonderful collage, and yet another one with some handwritten text. And the book, whoops, sorry about that. the book really alternates between these sorts of pages in a very nice and rhythmic and stunning way. So I think I'm going to stop sharing now. And with that, I'll let people in from the waiting room. And I think we're just going to hand it over to Michelle to go ahead and introduce Andrea and give us and introduce the book as well. So take it away, Michelle.
All right, great. Thank you, Thoreau. Well, Andrea Clark Libin's work has appeared in numerous journals and magazines, including Paris Lit Up magazine, Poetry Northwest, Talisman, and Zen Monster. Her book, Orphan of the Moon, Notebook of a Girl in a Moscow Station, is a powerful hybrid novella of prose poems, drawings, and collages, beautiful collages. The immediacy and dark lyricism of her writing straddles a world both gritty and resolute, as well as hauntingly tender. To read this novella with its found fragments and damaged characters takes the reader through the sputtering lights of Moscow streets and train tunnels, while the prose encapsulates a makeshift prayer for the lost children attempting to create a bond from odds and ends, the leftover memories and rhymes of a misplaced childhood. It's my great honor to introduce Andrea, my friend and wonderful writer. Hey, Andrea.
Wow, thank you, Michelle, for that beautiful description and introduction. And thank you, Thoreau and Wetzeman Press, and both of you, and Barbara Rother, the other editor, for taking such great care with recreating this book. And I'm really appreciative. And thanks to Big Other and John Madera for the nomination, and all the amazing writers. I'm really honored to be included. And it's really great to see all of you. Wow, from Mexico, Francisco, to Turkey, California, and New Mexico. The book is dedicated to my mamushka and papa, who are here right now, and to all lost children everywhere around the world today. Everywhere I go, I'm homeless. Everywhere I go is home. We are parented by air, siblinged by glue. I will school you. Breathe in the vapors and the fumes will crawl into your heart, haunt you like a shadow, ragged eyeballs. This much I can tell you. Put one ear to my chest, the other to my lips. Ivan was the one to find me, huddled in a puss stall in the station, weeping fits of woe. Mama, mamushka, why have you gone to church to pray and left me to weep, weep, weep? Ivan rescued me to the tunnels, sheared my head so I'd look like a boy, so bugs wouldn't creepy crawl my pretty braids. Ivan nabbed stray dolls and stuffed bears, dropped unawares by tiny top fingers. He'd find them on the terminal floor, wide-eyed, like corpses. Ivan lined the dolls up on an empty apple crate where I slept, placed a yellow-haired girlie on my cardboard mat. Ivan big brothered me till he was vampired by glue. His heart was hollowed out and he evaporated in the night. Now the dolls mock me with their plastic stares. We seep out of hiding as day breaks. The station sanctuaries us in the crack between dawn and morning, a truce of daylight, a promise never met. You might have felt the solace lighting candles in a church, but we don't pray here. We suck in air, glue, try to hold on. Don't let go. Then the rush, rush, rush parades through, and we're the nuisance, guilting you on your morning commute. Shoo, shoo, you say, toss us a kopeck. Pretend we're not coattailing you for coin. Try and forget our Marushka stares, our glue dripping noses, before the metro doors clang shut and you're home safe, comrade. Only you will hear my whispers when you say your goodnight prayers. We were born children of blood, orphans of the moon. Dark spits at me, I spit back. We don't count days here. You would be afraid, but I'm not. Sleep whispers, flutters her breath hot on my cheeks, eyelashes. Stay awake here for a week and you become immortal. But we don't count days. I'm not fooled by sleep. She's sneaky, tries to push you into the black hole, taunts you. Somewhere out there is the Milky Way, orange peels, skates, potatoes roasting in the earth, a mattress of peacock feathers, wool mittens. Don't worry, I'm no fool. I don't wish for things like mama, mamushka, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite. Sparks fleck the darkness. A train hums through the walls against my fingertips. Last licks of a candle singes out. Night burns, beckons. You would be duped, not me. We don't count days here. When Ivan found me in the pistols, he cut off my braids with his knife. Hopscotch snagged me a crate. They tucked me in near the steam pipes, ran a lighter to flash their names, tagged on the wall in neon green. Hush, hush, they hummed, fed me a candy bar, took drags off a cigarette in the darkness, told me she'd be back for me in the morning till I fell asleep till their whispers. Day glared through the station and they schooled me in their ways, filching cigarettes, donuts, candy, glue, dodging cops, pedophiles, gangbangers, all the while palms out for kopecks, food, disdain. Lend me your ear. His hair was shaved. In the photo at the bottom of my mother's purse, he was smiling in the darkness of lipstick, tissues, mints, dried up perfume. His army check arrived in the mail. A pittance, Mamushka cried, but I knew she was crying for his being stationed at the end of the world. The front, they called it in the newspapers, but we knew better. The end, we chorused. We were a village of mamas and girls and the great unwashed. We packed sausages and cheese and rode on the train to Moscow. I drew pictures of a girl in braids pretending to smile back at the men in the photo. Now I'm not fooled when I glimpse him in a crowd of soldiers at the edge of the terminal, duffels at feet, downing beers and clouds of cigarette smoke. A shaved head, flash of a smile. Papa, Papa, I hum inside. But he's just another stranger, belongs to some other girl, wife, and he's back, toasting his mates before he heads off to the end, before I can even pretend he's mine. Afternoons, we run the tracks, daredevil each other out of boredom, hopscotch the third rail for the glory. Swipe beer from vendors, ride the cars, guzzle from glass bottles and jungle gym the handrails, beat on windows. Babushkas lament our hooligan ways, our blackened fingernails, runny noses, our lost souls. We laugh and spit and drink and sing to the motherland. Lying awake at night, she's finding me everywhere, peering inside cupboards, baskets, under beds, down dead-end alleyways. She never stops, never gives up, combs through classrooms, pawn shops, prostitutes' faces, scrolls, hospital charts, rides in police cars, eyeballs, mug shots. She looks everywhere but here, because you forget that when you're searching for something, you never find what you lost until you give up looking. A name on the tip of your tongue, a ring, keys, your only girl. You have to forget all about the looking. I dropped crumbs on the bare marble floor of the station every dawn. Crumbs trailed a path to my underground hideout, tagged in blue paint, this way. She would be taking a train somewhere, found job, the dentist, her new family, and the crumbs would remind her that she had forgotten something. She would check her purse, retrace her day, tap her chin, all the while following the crumbs. The remembering would come like a moon appearing in daylight. When she finds me in the tunnel, I've grown wings of feather and wax. She lays her hand on my shaved head and calls me her angel. But in the night, the rats scoured the grimy marble, monstering away my prayers. Yvonne was taken in the ambulance. Hopscotch had screamed for help when we found him. The men at the tobacco had called. "Come on," Hopscotch said, cradling his head. "Come on, come on, come on," as we waited and waited. They were slapping Yvonne's face hard when they arrived to the station. Wake up, they shouted. "What's the boy on?" they shouted and kept slapping. Hopscotch told them to stop, but they ignored him and shook Yvonne's shoulders and slapped harder. Hopscotch told them we were his younger brothers, and we rode through the dawn light to the hospital, crouched in the corner of the ambulance. They had stopped slapping and were smoking cigarettes. Yvonne looked peaceful now. "Why won't he wake up?" I whispered to Hopscotch. The red flashing lights reflected off the windows. "He will never really leave us," Hopscotch said. "He will always be here," he said, punching his chest. "Don't let them fool you. They will try to say otherwise. I can promise you that." After the hospital, we returned to the station. We sat around a trash can fire in the back lot and drank from a bottle of vodka Alexei had stolen. We passed the bottle, and each person told a story of Yvonne's heroic antics. I listened. "Come," Hopscotch said when the bottle was drained. We followed him into the tunnels with our candles lighting the way. "Here," Hopscotch said. He shook his spray can and drew a large blue circle on the wall in one swoop. My hair was growing fast. Hopscotch snatched a cap right off an old man's knee and pulled it tight on my skull. Hopscotch said he would shrink me if he could, spit over his shoulder. Old man called him a degenerate. Hopscotch laughed. "Comrade," he said, "let's meet again in hell." The old man looked down at his unlaced shoes. Curls seeped out from the cap on my head, and Hopscotch said he had to ungirl me. Said if I was growing too fast, like there was a tomorrow, like there wasn't pimps out there who'd beat his ass, cut his throat, sickos who wouldn't trick me away with trumped up promises, like I believed there was a goddamn tomorrow, that they didn't rescue a fool. When I said it wasn't my fault, the growing, he told me to shut the fuck up. He clipped off tufts of hair that fell like feathers at our feet. He told me boys were not allowed to cry and slapped my cheek. Told me if he ever caught me sniffing glue again, he'd send me to hell himself. He took out his knife, flamed it with his lighter, pierced his palm with the tip, then mine, but I didn't shed a tear. He held his palm up to the sky, then pressed hard, his hand dwarfing mine. From now on, you're my kid brother, he told me. Let no one say a goddamn word otherwise. He took a snatched bottle of vodka from his jacket, gulped a shot, and spit it back on my palm. And the sting felt like a first kiss, a promise, a tomorrow. In the night, through a crack, I imagined the stars. Babu took me out to the field. We lay down on blankets. She traced them with her fingers, and we would name them. At night, I imagine the stars, and they are bright behind my eyelids. Before you, I tattooed my days on gum wrappers, matchbooks, apple crates, pistols, and the palm of my hand. Only the remembering seeped through the cracks of my insides, shine through the broken glass. You say to write it all down and dole out paper like candies. You say that when language fails, to draw the remembering. On a train, waking at dawn, windowing the blue and birch. You'd be turning a bend in the station, and out of the blue, Yvonne's tag would appear like poppies in the tunnels, neon green, yellow, purple. The kitten was puking his brains out in the night. He had been screeching for hours, but his mewing had stopped. He lay on the bed we made of cardboard and newspaper. Hopscotch brought back milk and splashed it in his palm and offered it to the cat, but he just lay there limp and silent. We sat vigil all night till the candles burned out, and without knowing, I fell asleep. In the morning, the cat was gone, and Hopscotch gave me a Snickers bar and chocolate milk. He told me the cat had woke, and there in the tunnel was his mama cat. He smiled, said the mama cat had orange stripes, just like our kitten. She had licked the kitten, and our kitten lifted his paw in a wave and went with her to be with his family. Later, I hid in the pistols and cried, not only for the cat, but because Hopscotch had cared enough to make up a story just for me. You say to write it all down. There's no healing without the telling. You say the remembering will come in waves. I have a surprise for you, Hopscotch said. Follow me. We jumped down into the tracks and through the tunnel to our hideout. The pup was already yelping. Hopscotch opened the box he had tied and closed and punched holes in. Happy birthday, he said. Is it my birthday? You ask some dumb fucking questions sometimes. Go on, he said. The pup was looking up, darting his head. Go on, he said, and lifted the pup into my arms. His fur was knotted and dirty. He licked my face. Hopscotch laughed. Hopscotch races the escalator, running up the downside. Me and Alexei rode down, slapping hands as we passed him. Hopscotch stands at the top, fists in the air. Champion, Alexei cries out, and no one in the station could ever doubt this proclamation. What are you waiting for, losers? Hopscotch sings out, his voice echoing the marble archway. The night awaits our sorry-ass souls. Alexei takes the up escalator 2 at a time, and I brave going up the down. At first, I'm going nowhere. The stairs pulling me, tripping me back to the beginning. Stop thinking so much. Use your wings, Hopscotch called down. Alexei is motioning me up. And then it happens. My feet moving, rush of air. The gravity my moron teacher could never explain. At the top, Hopscotch and Alexei grab me under the arms and lift me up. Little champion, Hopscotch yells, my little brother. And I realize I'm laughing, out of breath from the running, and Hopscotch pulls me onto his back. Little champion, they chant. My breath quieted, and I could feel Hopscotch's breathing. And I had the feeling that I would look back at this moment, though I had no sense why, only that I would always remember it in this way. Hop on, Hopscotch said, and ran through the station with his arms out like a crow, and we flew out the station into the night. Thanks.
Oh, thank you, Andrea, for
That's beautiful.
wonderful reading. And thank all of you for being so muted. I really do appreciate that. I was scanning the chat. I didn't see any questions. Did you, Michelle?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Anybody have one now?
Yeah, we can do it that way too. Let me switch this view so I can see more people. All right, well, I think I don't see any. You can raise your hand if you know how to do that in the Zoom world. I think it's using the reactions icon on the bottom of the screen. And if we see it, we will unmute you. But I don't see any. Oh, I do see one. Okay, let's see. You need to unmute.
Descartes.
Yeah, Descartes. I can't, it seems like I can't unmute you.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there you go. You are unmuted. Okay, fantastic.
Hey, Andrea, how are you? Congratulations. I cannot wait to read this and look at what you've done visually. Can you tell me a bit about your process, like the backstory of how you got to this project and yeah, like just like pulling it together, how it came to you, etc.
Hi, Donna. Good to see you. Actually, it started when I was in Moscow going to St. Petersburg and seeing some kids in the station, and it was going to be a part of the longer novel that I'm working on. And this idea of this, girl's diary. So I did both. I wrote the pieces and did the drawings and collages at the same time. They were sort of layered together, the feeling and the writing. That, yeah.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you collect the magazines along the way?
Oh, well, actually, the candy wrappers were from a girl living in Russia. So I want to give a shout out to her. She sent these beautiful candy wrappers, all beautifully preserved. The magazine images I actually found online. Yeah, I would love to have the actual magazines, but a lot of this was done while I was in transit in different places. And then there's some of my photographs as well, and as well as the collages.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Hi, Barbara.
Yeah. Hi, Andrea. That was a lovely reading. Thank you so much. It was great to hear you read more of it than just to have the book. It really does bring it to life. And my questions are sort of along those lines. I recently was sent on Facebook some images from metro stations in Russia. And I wondered if when you pictured this, it was one of those more elaborate sort of Rococo stations, or if there are stations where there are a lot of children living, or I just wondered about the visuals of what you saw.
Yeah, this is set in Leningradsky station, a very big station, more like Penn Station,
Okay.
where the kids were living. And then Moscow has some of the most beautiful stations, and they're very, Stalin built them very deep underground so they wouldn't be bombed. And each one has its own, artistic vision. So they're works of art. So their hideout is in the sort of big Penn Station, not beautiful station. But then when they are traversing and navigating that underworld, they end up at times in those stations.
Great.
And the escalators are very, very long, and the stairs. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Thank you. I'd love to see those. Yeah.
I hope you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else? If not, the reading is officially over, right, Thoreau? Or do you have a?
Yeah, and I think I'll just unmute. I'll unmute everybody in case, you want to just have a sort of free-for-all.
Yeah, free for all. Say, hey.
Hey.
And but before I do that, just want to wish Andrea the best of luck with the big other awards. Hope they come through, one or both even. And so you definitely have my vote. And with that,
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and see if I can
Incredible.
unmute everyone.
Well, thanks, guys, and everyone for coming. It was really great to see all your faces up here that I haven't seen in person, from all over, and just really wonderful. So thanks.
Andrea, your mama and papa want to thank you for your beautiful, beautiful novella and your dedication. It is an honor to be in your presence.